So this webinar is being recorded, and for anyone who missed last week's, this is essentially a rerun. So if you were on last week's, you're going to hear pretty much the exact same content. So I'm just going to throw that out there for anyone who thought this was a progression. So if this is your second time on the webinar, feel free to jump off, or if there's anything that you saw last time that you want to see a little bit more of, do feel free to ask in the questions at the end. So yes, this webinar is being recorded. So if you've got any questions, just please post them in the comments or raise your hand and we'll get to them at the end. We're going to try to keep this to 20 minutes. We may go a little bit over time, but you'll definitely be done within 30 minutes if we leave time for questions at the end. All right, so my name is John Wade, and we are Outbound. I've got JD on the call as well. So if there's any technical issues or anything like that, JD will be sure to let me know. But at the moment, you guys should all be seeing my screen and you should just be seeing my slides. All right. So as I said, I'm John Wade and I'm with Outbound, and I've spent the last almost a decade in sales, between business development and inside sales. Some of those years were spent with Salesforce, some of those years were spent with Oracle, and previous to that, I've also spent a number of years in CRM and business development consulting. So I think it's fair to say that we get it. When not doing sales, I'm usually on adventures, driving across the country, driving around the Wicklow Mountains, and when I'm not out and about driving and going hiking and exploring, I'm practicing my pain face on my bike, either cycling or recently I've also taken up running. So yeah, love getting out and about. Business development is probably the toughest role there is in sales. They never tell you that when you sign up as a business development rep or an inside sales rep, but it is genuinely the toughest role you can do in sales. It's pretty thankless. It can be a lot of fun. It can be rewarding, but it is definitely one of the toughest. As a business development rep, you're supposed to be targeting about 1,000 new leads or 1,000 new contacts or 1,000 new prospects, whatever you want to call them. Every company calls them differently, but essentially you're supposed to be targeting 1,000 new ones per month. Now you probably have a CRM data set. Quite often that data can be out of date. But if you're supposed to build a list of 1,000 new contacts every month, that boils down to being about 133 hours. So that's 1,000 new contacts times 8 hours a day is 133 hours, which is about 16 and a half days per month. That's 70% of your working month. Now, there's probably a few other ways you could be spending that time. You could obviously do the same amount of work and then take the rest of the month off, go on vacation, go visit your folks, go visit your family, go ride your bike, whatever you want to do. Personally, I'd go riding my bike. But you could also book double the amount of meetings that you're currently booking if you weren't wasting time building lists, right? Or you could do more training and promote in less time and promote yourself internally and get up to that next level within your career. So that being said, you're probably thinking, well, we do also have some pretty great data solutions at our disposal. You know, I mean, the US teams all are pretty much on ZoomInfo at this stage. We're all very familiar with ZoomInfo. You've got your CRM, which is probably a Salesforce or a HubSpot or something of that ilk. But again, that data is only good as the data that you put into it, okay? It's not a dynamic database. And then you've got the likes of LeadIQ and Hunter, which again are great for those quick lookups, just quickly checking a contact. But primarily, your sole resource for accurate contact data is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best repository there is. It's the only data set that is kept up to date by the individuals, and therefore it is the only trustworthy data set. Everything else is a managed database. Okay? But all of these have their challenges. Obviously, on LinkedIn, you can't get the email addresses, you can't get the phone numbers. All you can do is verify that, yes, this is a contact. And when it comes to Hunter, it's fast, but it's not validated. It's verified, but it's not validated. And LeadIQ is a managed database, so it's only as good as the data that's in there. And then ZoomInfo, of course, is very strong for US data based on how they capture their data, but it's not very strong once you step outside the US. So it's not very strong if you're targeting the EMEA regions, the emerging markets, LATAM, APAC, any of the regions outside the US, essentially. The good news is that Outbound is here to help. So Outbound is essentially a sales intelligence platform. And the main difference between us and some of the other previous companies like Rocket Reach or Elite IQ is that we're not a managed database of contacts. Instead, we have over 250 million company records, and we go and find your target prospects. We verify them, we test them, we validate them, and then we upload them into the Outbound platform so you to then go do your prospecting. And the best way to think about this is if you had a Porsche or a Ferrari, you still need the petrol to run it. We're that petrol. Or similarly, if you've got a steam train, we don't mind which steam train you're running, but you still need coal. And we basically provide the coal. The data is the coal. Those contact data points with the phone number and the email address, that's what we provide. That's the data that you need. So if anyone was following the G2 grid report that came out during the week for the top 20 sales engagement platforms, all of those engagement platforms are phenomenally powerful. They give you the ability to automate your emails, build out your campaigns, track your calls, make more efficient prospecting and more efficient outreach, but you still need great data. And that's where Outbound comes in. So I'm going to jump across and I'm going to give you a quick demo walkthrough of the Outbound platform. And just going to minimize the thumbnails. There we go. Let's pull this out. So right now, we're looking at the Outbound platform. And I'm starting in what's called company lookup. There's a number of ways that you can search for companies in Outbound. You can apply a number of filters, so you can pick based on HQ location. So let's say United Kingdom or United Arab Emirates, for argument's sake, and United Kingdom. So we picked two geographical regions. We might want to also pick based on web technologies, for example. So let's say you're in the e-commerce space. You might say, I want to focus on companies that are working on Magento or WooCommerce. So what we have here is we have the full list of all the web technologies that are available. So you can filter down and pick your ideal target accounts based on what web technologies they're currently running. So any front-end technology, essentially. Let's see, can we also get Shopify? There's a shopping technology. Just for an example, you can also pick industries. These are the same industries that you're going to find on LinkedIn. So any of the LinkedIn industries is what you're going to find in here. So accounting, finance, internet, software, they're all pretty much in here. So let's go with internet, and let's go with, let's see which ones are in the software. Computer software, there we go. So that's going to really narrow down the search for us. We can also pick a revenue range as well. So I'm going to hit search, going to see which companies come up. It's going to load, take a couple of seconds just to load. And of course, we've said companies in the UK, United Arab Emirates, with certain e-commerce web technologies. There we go. Got a random company there. So that's it really. And the other way of doing it, of course, is by searching by domain. So what you can do is you can manually. So let's say, I don't know, let's pick Salesforce or Zendesk, for example. Salesloft, there's a good example. And we can add them to what we call our watch list. Or we can upload by CSV. And all you have to do is actually grab a CSV file, upload it, and the platform will recognize the domain names, and then we'll create your list of target accounts. Either way, you will have your target list of accounts in what we call the selected accounts. So this is where you create your watch list of accounts. This is your territory as a rep, and you can see which accounts are being processed, which ones were recently requested, and which ones you may want to run a new refresh on. So when you come on with Outbound, you will start by requesting all the accounts that you want fresh contacts on, and by identifying the persona types and the profile types that you're interested in. We will then prepare the contacts and upload them. And this is where you will prioritize that list. Okay? Once they've gone from here, they will then live in what's known as Prospector. And this is where your target list of accounts sits. So for the sake of this demo, I'm looking at Salesforce, and these are all the available contacts in Salesforce for me that have been validated and verified. And we only upload the contacts that we can validate. So every single email has already been tested, and we know that all of these contacts currently work in these positions in these companies. And there's a couple of things to notice here. So one, we can see the various countries where they're based. We can see whether they've been purchased or not. And we can also see which ones have a phone number. So what's really important here is that these are the office where that contact is based out of. So it's the office phone number for that contact. And I can go ahead and I can select the contacts that I want to purchase. I'll purchase them, and then I own them. I can download them, I can export them, I can do whatever I want, and they will live in the contact manager under purchased contacts. So purchased contact is essentially where I manage my lists. This is where I segment all of my prospects. So I can group them based on persona type, based on company, based on region, based on industry, and I can assign them to different campaign lists and different, we call them outreach lists. And so you can pick who you want, or you can group them and filter them like I said. You can also take a look and see which contacts are on which campaign list, and you can add contacts to multiple campaign lists, or similarly you can remove them from campaign lists as well. Now this is really, really useful if you're either using the campaign functionality that's already built into the Outbound platform, or if you want to build your lists and then send them across to either HubSpot or SalesLoft or Outreach or whichever engagement platform you're using, or you can synchronize directly with your Salesforce environment. That's essentially the main parts of the Outbound platform. We can, of course, jump in and show you our campaign functions and our dashboards and our templates and our outreach, but that's outside the scope for this webinar. So do let me know if that is something you would like to look at. We also run contact enrichment as well, where you can enrich your contacts. We also have a reveal function, so we can show you which contacts are also on your platform. There's three main packages for Outbound. We've got a team package, which is charged on a per seat basis. And then we also have what we know as a pay-as-you-go credits model. So if any of this sounds interesting, do let us know. So I'm going to jump back to our slide. So that was the quick walkthrough of the Outbound platform. If this looks a little bit interesting and you think this could be relevant, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste my Calendly link in the chat.